Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit LaracyCPA.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.
Good morning.
Hello.
Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It's a great day to be in a car. You got good signal?
Hopefully. When are we breaking ground on that cell tower, please? This show, I think there is a very long and storied history of the college and the city together. If you go back, the college was very instrumental in the growth of the city early on. So and it's right. Unlike a lot of college campuses that are away from a city, Lake Forest College is right in the heart, almost, of the city. It's a big part of the fabric that is our city. So I think it's good to know, and we've talked about on the show supporting your sports teams, and I'm glad that he's on, and let's have a nice chat.
Absolutely. Yeah, he just did an op-ed piece this month on Humanities.
Well, we're all human.
He led major capital projects, $20 million in housing renovation, $5 million innovation hub and re-accreditation, spearheaded new science facility. So what do they want to build at Lake Forest College? Like, what do they want to do with the money? He and his wife
should ask him.
I know, I'm running them by you. I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, no, I think those are all good questions.
Oh, here we go. Here's Jeff. Sure, Urso's
Jeff
got a
just
question.
wants all the LFC. He wants to know if Duffers cater their football games.
No, why are Jeff Urso's graduates making over 100,000 and the Sosulski's graduates are making 40?
What did I step into? What graduates?
Well, we got a Lake Forest College president coming on, right? And only time
nice. Yeah.
Humanities degree gets you about 40 grand when you graduate. How much do your bartenders make, Urso?
Our top earners make 6 figures.
6 figures, right?
Yep.
And they graduated from what community college?
Wait, what? Whoa, your bartenders make 6 figures?
I have 3 bartenders. I mean, they're full-time staff. Some of them push, 50 hours plus, but I have 3 of them make far north of $2,000 a week.
Dr. Sosulski, welcome to the show.
Hey, good morning. How are you all doing?
Morning.
Morning.
We're doing great. Is it
did we get your last name right?
Yeah, you did. And by the way, just call me Mike. It's a lot easier.
Mike? All right. Good.
Dr. Mike.
Yeah, never mind the honorifics.
I go by Mr. Jansons. We were talking about with
Right.
Jeff Urso and his bartenders are making over 100 grand. And I just saw your op-ed piece, which I commented on before I even knew you were coming on the show, Mike.
Hmm.
You're pushing the humanities. The degree at 100% costs 260 grand, and humanities grads make 40 grand. I'm trying to figure out how the math works. Jeff Urso got somebody from Lake County Community College,
Oh no,
and
actually,
they're
most
making 100 grand.
a lot of our staff, they have bachelor degrees, and I think they're in the same predicament as a lot of young people these days. Is do you get a entry level position and or but this is also how you get stuck in the service industry. I was a pizza driver, so here I am today. But there are a lot of jobs, and I've always promoted trade work and stuff like that. I was a union carpenter a long time ago, and stuff like that. So it's there's a lot of great opportunities out there.
Well,
Totally agree with that.
the premise of the show, Mike, is we're at Duffers right now having a beer, and we're talking about things that are going on.
Not right now, but yeah.
Sometimes, well, maybe sometimes the language is questionable. Sometimes we're professional. Just like going in a bar. So Joe, thank you for bringing Dr. Mike on the show, or Mike. Could you introduce him for us, please, and we'll get going. We'll be a little bit more professional.
Dr. Mike Sosulski is the new president of Lake Forest College. And Lake Forest College, as we were saying before previously, that Lake Forest College is a big part of the history of the city of Lake Forest. A lot of cities, the college campus is tucked away off to the side, away from the rest of the community. But here in Lake Forest College is right near downtown. It's pretty immersed in our city. So, Mike, why don't you talk about yourself and your background and how you came to Lake Forest College?
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, thanks for inviting me, guys. I mean, I really do appreciate the opportunity to get to spend some time with you and talk about the college, which is something that I just love and believe in. So here's my basic story. I grew up in the western suburbs of Chicago. My parents moved our family to West Chicago, Illinois in 1969, and they both came because they were looking for teaching jobs at the College of DuPage, which at that time was brand new. And so I remember walking around that campus as a 6-year-old with my dad and my mom, and the whole college is in Quonset hut buildings. They hadn't even constructed their main building yet. So it was fun to be a part of that. And so you grow up in a certain family where the dinner table conversation is about a certain kind of thing. So, we were always having people over to the house who were coworkers of my parents at the college. So that's our dinner table conversation. That's what we're talking about, over 4th of July barbecues, just stuff that's going on at the college. So, it's like you grow up as a young man and you go to college, getting ready to sort of make your own way in the world. The last thing in the world I wanted to do was become a college professor, right? Because I mean, this has been my life the whole time. I was thinking, how boring is that? I do not want that for myself. So I went to college and I studied foreign languages and culture. Kind of loved it because I had a great high school German teacher. Studied abroad, and while I'm studying abroad, I started to play saxophone in a band. So,
Nice.
and it was great. I mean, like the best thing you can do when you move to a new community, if you want to connect with people fast, you find other people who like doing what you're doing for fun. So that's what I did. I found a bunch of other people who wanted to play in a band. We started a band, and the band started to get kind of popular, like, in a local area kind of way. We started playing gigs in and around our town. Then we started playing gigs in larger cities. Before you knew it, I kind of forgot about going to class. So I almost got myself into some serious trouble, but I did finish okay. I graduated from college, and then I told my parents, you know what? I love playing music so much that I think I want to go to New York City. And I said, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drive to New York City. I'm gonna probably, I don't know, I might live in the subway, I might couch surf for a while, but I'm just gonna make my way as a musician. My parents wisely said, that's interesting. That was their response. That's interesting. They said, why don't you do this instead? They said, why don't you just get registered with a music academy somewhere, right? Just so you can take a couple classes and you'll be on their radar and you won't be kind of flying out there on your own. So I said, that's a good idea. So instead of New York, I went to Boston and I enrolled in the Berklee College of Music for saxophone performance. And I did that for a while. And it was amazing. I bet you guys have had this experience too in your lives where you're kind of like, I do something that is not the right thing for me. And that's what I discovered that year because those people were really serious musicians. So that's when I decided to go for the big bucks and go back to graduate school for German literature.
Wait, you
And
said big bucks. Hold on.
with a little irony, a
You know how
little
you know how
irony,
you
but
make a
that's
small
where I ended
fortune
up.
in German literature? You start out with a large one.
They paid you in marks, right?
It's a
That's what
lucrative
marks.
industry. Nobody knows. Nobody realizes.
All
No,
right.
but it's funny. You find your pathway back, right? So the apple doesn't end up falling that far from the tree. I did enjoy my faculty career for over 20 years. It was wonderful. And then I realized I had an opportunity to kind of speak up for higher education and the transformative power that that has for people's lives. And it's been exciting work to do. So I've been doing that for the last, I don't know, since 2016, I've been working in kind of administrative roles that have been really gratifying.
Where were you before Lake Forest College?
So before I came here, I was working as a president at Washington College, which is in the Eastern Shore of Maryland.
You raised some good money there, didn't you, Mike?
We did terrific fundraising there, and this is always a team sport. You know what I mean? So it's not just me, but a lot of people worked together to build the endowment for that college, which really desperately needed it. So yeah, we raised quite a bit of money, over $150 million in 4 years, and a lot of that is just due. Listen, I give all the credit to the people who are great philanthropists and just love that institution, understand its mission and want to support it.
No, I was just going to say, did you give all the credit to those people in the job interview?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well,
Is it
like I said,
And
well?
they all got hired too. No, just
that's right.
The reason I'm a little snarky on it is I've had administrators on the show before. First of all, why are they coming on the show? Uh, they're looking to raise money, and if they don't need to
Mhm.
raise money, I can't get them on the show. So what I'm trying to find out is what is that why they brought you over to Lake Forest College, and if so, what are you looking to raise money for over there?
You probably are aware of this. I mean, higher education is a very expensive proposition. You were talking a little bit earlier about, what the costs are. It's a people intensive industry. And so salaries and benefits to teach and support our students are the vast majority of what our expenses look like. And tuition and fees, frankly, doesn't support it alone, right? I mean, that's basically about 80% of any college's revenue stream. So the rest of it has to be made up through things like philanthropy or grants, and to make this kind of transformative experience possible. What I'm going to raise money for at Lake Forest College is basically support of student and faculty work. So getting scholarships together so that the thing is affordable for everyone who's deserving of an education like that. And we think that's a wide swath of people. And also to support the faculty who, honestly, their salaries could be a lot better than they are. When you think about if I may, I'm going to get on the soapbox for teachers for a minute here, just because I've been one for so long, right? And you know, if you're going to be qualified to teach in college or university setting, what that means is that you had to get yourself a PhD, and that's a good 7 to 10 years where you are still in school and you are delaying your earnings. When you think about what it means to try to retire with a decent nest egg, you've put off savings for some of the most important years of your life. So for that reason, I feel really passionate about trying to support the incomes of people who do that teaching for us. They're the ones on the ground making these transformative experiences happen for our students.
so Lake Forest College is a privately owned institution, right? It's not like University of Illinois or College of Lake County that are publicly funded.
That's right.
Um, are you at a disadvantage because you're competing with colleges and universities that are primarily funded with tax dollars?
Yes.
Is there I know at the K-12 level, there's been a lot of talk about vouchers and school choice to equalize that. Ha- Where does that fit with colleges in terms of the criticism that the public schools can't always do things that a private school could do, but that they're just sucking up all these tax dollars that could go to support a private institution?
Yeah, it's an interesting argument. I have never really heard that applied to independent higher education, but I get where you're coming from. I mean, it's you can extrapolate it. Um, This is what I would say. I mean, so I feel like we, as a small liberal arts college, are part of a large ecosystem of higher education. And I love the fact that in America, there are all kinds of different choices that fit different kinds of people. Let me give you an example. I got two boys, they're both in their 20s. One of them was a liberal arts kid. He needed to be in that environment where it was going to be more intimate. His professors would really know him by name and they'd notice if he doesn't show up to class 2 days in a row, right? That's one way to think about how, the kind of environment that we cultivate, and that leads to extremely high graduation rates. Now, my other kid, the younger one, he wanted the Big Ten experience. So he went to Michigan State and it was fantastic for him. I mean, the kid's just wired for it, right? I mean, he's just got this, he never met a stranger, right? So he wasn't going to get lost in a crowd. And he found his people. He got a great education, and that worked for him. And I love the fact that we have these options that are appropriate for different people. Like I said, community colleges are part of that too. So, we're one piece of it. And I think we all work together to create opportunities for people across the country.
Has the
Mike,
cost, though, of higher education skyrocketed higher than cost of living? Because
Yeah.
my son just started college, and we see what his tuition is,
Yeah.
and my son and daughter both. And I went to Loyola University in the 80s, and my tuition was like I think like $3,000 or $4,000. Now, if you
Yes.
take, I understand that $3,000 or $4,000 in 1987 is different than today, but if you
Yeah.
factor in the CPI, my tuition was still much lower than what the tuition would be at Loyola or most other schools today. So what happened that college tuition skyrocketed far beyond the cost of living?
Yeah, Joe, you're not wrong about that. I mean, I still have a couple of tuition bills from my first year at Georgetown, and they were like you said, they were like 3 grand, right? And that was all in. That was room and board and tuition and fees. So things really have changed over the intervening period. It's a very complicated economic picture, but I will reduce it to two factors basically that I think makes sense. And there's lots of other things that go into it. But number one, back in the time when you and I were going to college and the years prior, the federal and state governments were a much larger player in terms of supporting both private and higher education than they are now. So there was a lot more support through grants for research and infrastructure and all kinds of things than there are now. What we've seen over the last 25 to 30 years is a gradual, not intentional, but just a gradual disinvestment in higher education, both in the private and the public space. So that's one factor. The other factor is this. When I went to started college in 1983, the enterprise that I was taking part in was basically brick and mortar teaching and learning with a few services, right? Not much, but a few services. Nowadays, when you think about what students and their families require of that experience at college, it incorporates all kinds of things that we didn't have to do back then. So, for example, we have to have a full-on counseling staff on site, along with medical professionals who can provide basically primary medical care right on our campus. That's something that is just a table stakes expectation for families nowadays. Um, Another thing, I don't know what kind of dorm you lived in, Joe, but mine was like an army barracks in 1983, and we were fine with that. And the dining hall was more like a mess hall. I remember visiting Great Lakes Naval Station and thinking that was fancy. So the level of services that the customer expects when they come to a college or university is so vastly different now, and those things just add expense. I think those two things together are big drivers of the cost increase.
Mike, we have Jeff Urso on the show. He is the owner of Donati's Pizza and Duffers. Mike, when you talk about these costs and all that you're doing at the college, I think of Jeff Urso and his restaurant having a menu that has 50 pages in it. And for him to have a menu with 50 pages in it, do your costs go up or down when you do that, Jeff?
Yeah, I think these are very different industries. But
Okay,
yeah,
well said. But I,
yeah.
I think we have, Mike, do we have colleges that have too many pages to their menus that we're trying, because you're getting a quarter mil. Now, to be fair, you subsidize a lot with grants and scholarships and whatnot. So the average cost is a lot lower, but still the retail is at 260. And then we look at the administration costs and we look at what you're offering and then the degrees that you give kids and then the money they make when they come out of there. Do you think you should take a little bit closer look? I know you just got there, but colleges in general, do you think we should take a closer look at what we're offering and what they're getting to come up with a curriculum?
I do. I do agree with that. And I think colleges and universities are doing that routinely, especially now. I mean, now that we're in a cultural climate where the people who are considering higher education are more ROI focused than ever before, I think. I think 20 years ago, most families didn't question whether or not their child would have a job immediately or whether they would earn sufficiently in order to make the investment worthwhile. And now we're living in a space, your question reflects it, where more people are just thinking that way. And that's perfectly fair. I get that. Let me just drop a couple of statistics for you here that I think are relevant. So you mentioned it. You mentioned it, Pete. That most private higher education institutions like us, like Lake Forest, we discount the tuition steeply. So I mean, truly, the vast majority of people who come to our institution are only paying about 30% of the sticker price. That's because when I talked earlier about fundraising for scholarships, that's what I'm talking about. We're able to get philanthropy that helps support the cost so that it really is affordable. Most people who graduate from Lake Forest College only leave with about at most 25 to $30,000 worth of debt. Now that is not insignificant, and I don't want to make light of that. But when you think about the investment that they have made in themselves and their careers, we like to think it's very well worth it. Georgetown University has done a study for the last decade now. They look at it every year and they refresh it. And they calculate the ROI on the degrees at every single college and university in the country. And on average, a person with a bachelor's degree can expect to earn $1 million over their career more than someone without. Now, of course, those vary. It
What
varies
degree?
individuals. Doesn't matter what degree, any generic degree. And I really enjoy these. I enjoy these studies that purport to be able to break down what a humanities graduate makes versus a STEM graduate. But the fact is, it's not that clear cut, right? I mean, lots of humanities graduates end up going to law school or they end up becoming doctors. So it's not quite as clear cut as those kind of analyses would actually make it look.
Does distance learning, how does that fit into this whole equation? We're seeing more and more ads and stuff and people taking classes online. What's your take on all that?
Wow. How long you got? I won't go on very long about this.
42 minutes.
Okay, let's limit it to 2 minutes. I think it has its uses. I do think it has its uses. And it's particularly good for adult learners who have careers already or are raising families, right? And they need to fit this in and they're very focused on what they need from this educational experience. It's a lot harder for other kinds of people. One thing we know is that the attrition rates in online learning are astronomically high compared to in-person instruction. And you don't have to think too hard about it. I mean, when you're in person with an instructor and with your peers, you're making connections, right? You're building relationships with people. And that has a stickiness to it that the online experience doesn't have. It's too easy to just let it go, you know?
Yeah, I think during the whole COVID experience with kids having to do remote learning at home instead of going to school, I think we saw some very terrible effects of that on a lot of kids. And I can speak firsthand as a parent that it
Yep.
really did affect my kids in terms of some of their social development.
Agreed. There you go. It's a nice illustration. And I mean, look, I mean, I'm kind of proud of higher ed for shifting really quickly to some kind of continuity of learning program, and remote learning was part of it, but it was far from perfect, and we all saw that. And it's interesting because I talked to my faculty, and they do not want to go back to this modality. I mean, there's something about elemental about human beings. We want to be together, right? We want to be in spaces like the ones Jeff has created, right? I mean, these are places where community is built, and the classroom is one of those places.
First off, I want to say is I think a lot of people don't realize, and this is kind of, I'm going to segue right back to something, but Lake Forest College, first of all, has a great economic impact in the city of Lake Forest. So I think that is fantastic. And, when I was a kid, I grew up around here. We'd pack the hockey games, the football games, and all that stuff. And we've been on a big push, I think, on the show and everything to get Lake Forest College back into, highlighting in the community. We have multiple hockey players that work over here. And, so I've known Jackie for a very long time. And, Lake Forest College has always been part of the community. And I would love to see more community involvement on both ends. And I think it's getting there. It's progressing. And especially on the athletic side, I think that's an easy sell to everybody. Like, let's pack these games. Let's go support these young students. It's so great having such a great hockey program and the other sports as well. But I'm a hockey guy, obviously, right down the street. So I always bring my kids there. They do co-ops with Winter Club and Falcons and everything else. So I think that is a great way of bringing awareness in our community to Lake Forest College, which I think will translate into some fundraising opportunities and merch sales and everything else. So that could be a benefit. The $1 million lifetime earning thing, I've always taken an approach. I people always ask me where I went to school, and I make a joke. I went to CLC for a week, and it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
You overpaid.
Yeah. But, I think it's, we're all comparing, like a Walmart greeter to someone with a bachelor's degree, right? Which I think the mindset that Dr. Mike touched on is 100% correct. I have a 19-year-old son, and he was talking about going to school, and he wanted to go party, and I said, absolutely not. We're not investing in anything in to do that. 20 years ago, when I was a college age person, that was a mindset. It was like, you'd have the rankings. Oh, Arizona is a big party school, Iowa, et cetera. So I think having the purpose of going to college and selling it as, hey, yes, it's this investment, but I'm doing this to become an engineer, to become a doctor, to become a professor, et cetera. I think that makes total sense. Now what I don't, and I'm not talking about Lake Forest College now, I think on a grander scale, is I think colleges need to scale back on just selling education just to sell it versus students that actually want to go there and learn to get a certain degree to do something. I have two sisters with communications degrees, and I always laugh. I'm like, how's that working out for you? And, because they're in totally different industries than whatever communications brings you. I have no idea what that even does, but it's something. So I do appreciate everything you're saying. The ROI, I think, is something that really hammered down. I know multiple people that have graduated from Lake Forest College, and they're very successful today. And a lot of them love the small campus feel. So I think that's another huge aspect of Lake Forest College versus the Michigan State. I don't know how many students go there, but I'm assuming, they fill up a big football stadium. So a lot.
50,000. 50,000.
50,000, right? So it's unbelievable. So I think everything is great, and I just hope that Lake Forest College keeps hammering. I know you're on the academic side, but we want to get athletics really pumping and getting people excited about it in town. So that's my big take on Lake Forest College. Sorry.
I'm so encouraged to hear that because I mean I think there's a world of opportunity there. Well, first of all, a huge percentage of our students are student athletes, right? And
One of the most around. Yeah.
yeah, they're going to play D3 and they love their sports and they want to continue, right?
Yeah.
And they want to have that opportunity. We got a bunch of people who come back for a fifth year of eligibility. There was a guy on the football team who started this year coming back for his sixth year. And I mean, not of eligibility because the NCAA doesn't allow that, but I mean, sixth year at the college so that he could play out his eligibility. So this is highly motivating. It's also very entertaining, and we should be supporting these kids, and we should be rallying the community around it. It's a lot of fun. I think Lake Forest College has a huge opportunity to become much more welcoming to the community. I feel like we have room to grow there. Maybe I don't know. I can't judge it because I'm pretty new here. But what
Yeah.
I'm hearing from people that it hasn't always been the case that people have felt like they were welcomed on the campus to come and support games or come
Right.
to a play or a public lecture or whatever. And so we can do a much better job of throwing the doors wide open and saying everybody's welcome to this stuff.
Yeah, no, I think so. And we get a lot of groups that come in that want to stream the games. So we're, which I don't know if you guys know, Lake Forest College athletic page is one of the easiest to navigate around because you just hit watch live. So it's very easy. So we get great groups and stuff like that. And it could be, women's lacrosse, it could be men's hockey. I'm not just talking hockey and football. It is there's always a group to watch some of these away games, which is really awesome. So yeah, to your point, I think we like I said, it is probably the best hockey around. I don't know if you know this, for a long time, Lake Forest hockey was the only NCAA hockey team in Illinois, right?
Genders, men and women. I've had
Right. Well,
tenants.
the women's is great too. I mean, I know a lot on both teams. Like I said, we always have 3 or 4 hockey players that work at Duffers.
Well, it's the only, if I'm not mistaken, it's the only ice rink in Lake Forest, right?
No, there's a bunch of the
Are there-
academy has an ice rink.
Okay, my bad.
Winter
Yeah.
Club has an ice rink, etc. But Lake Forest College partners with both Lake Forest High School and Falcons hockey. Winter Club also plays a lot over there. And it's got a great history. That sports complex over the years has really the remodel 15 years ago has really been beautiful inside Bolt Stadium and everything. So I bring my kids over to homecoming every year and we bounce around and we'll go to the football game, then we go watch swimming and all that fun stuff. But I think it's honestly a lack of promotion, right? Marketing, whatever. So and like you said, if I didn't grow up doing that, I don't know if I would just walk over and experience that. And I try to tell everyone I can about it because it's fun. It's awesome. I mean, we are a short walk away from a college campus. I mean, it is really cool especially for kids from 5 years old to 14 years old. That's the prime demographic that will, to them, a D3 hockey is the same as watching, the Chicago Wolves, if you will. I mean, the level is the same. It's awesome to see. And Sean and all the guys have been very welcoming. They do so much cool stuff with the community. So I think if Lake Forest College, keeps hammering down on welcoming and I know they're welcoming, so that's probably the wrong word, but marketing to, hey, come support us, come watch us. We want to fill up our stands and we want to do this and come out to the concessions. Scouts is Friday nights, but Saturday mornings, get on over to the college to watch football over here. I think it can make a huge impact in the community, and I think it'll really highlight. And I guarantee you, a lot of students from the high schools around here will take a better look at Lake Forest College as well about attending there.
I appreciate that. I think that's right.
Speaking of which, LFC, for the old schooler Lake Foresters, you know what that stands for?
I have heard some off color.
I don't even want to know what you're thinking there.
Well,
Pete.
no.
The family show, bud.
No, you've had some of the kids that grew up in Lake Forest. They go away to school, and then for whatever reason, they got to come back and they go to Lake Forest College, and it gets that nickname. Mike, I'm pointing fingers, but I also want to.
Oh, you're going to get a CLC, College of Last Chance. That's what you're
Say,
thinking.
well, say,
Yeah.
well, first of all,
That's our joke.
let's not knock the community colleges, Mike.
I
What?
love community college. That's
Okay, we love
that's
all schools. Okay,
yeah.
but things have
Amen.
changed, and we have to evolve with it because Mike, knowledge is no longer centralized; it's decentralized. If you want an education, you can get one for free on YouTube. Okay, so you're pushing the social aspect of things. Okay, my take on social aspect is, you know what? Get a job and go to school at the same time. There's your social aspect of things. But with artificial intelligence coming in right now, can you see how it will make an impact to help you on administration costs? Because the way kids learned before and the way kids are learning right now, is there a disconnect where you can take advantage of AI to use that to stretch out the staff to get more out of them or have less administration to help you out?
That's a super good question. And I am not a visionary enough person to be able to see into the future to understand exactly what the impacts of AI are going to be in that regard. But I know it's creating efficiencies in certain sectors of the economy already, and it may do the same for us. I can't foresee it right now,
Well,
but
here,
I know it's going to be the Gutenberg, it's going to be I'm sorry, it's going to be the Eli Whitney Cotton gin of our era, right? It's going to really turn things around economically. So we're just going to have to see how that works.
Does LFC have?
We have 500 employees, including faculty and staff.
so
Yeah, I mean
500
that's
into how much a year? How does that rank, Mike? The 500 employees and the amount per student that come in each year, how does that rank amongst D3 private schools?
It's a good question. I mean, I don't have an analysis of that right in front of me, but it strikes me from my own experience that we're about average here. You know, my last institution was a little smaller with the student population and also the student body, but you know, we're at Lake Forest College, the way we think about it in higher education often is the student to faculty ratio. That's one metric, right? And so we're at 13 to 1, which is actually a very efficient model, believe it or not. That's about where you want to be if you're going to create a smaller community-based experience where you're going to produce better success rates, career outcomes, and graduation rates. You know, like I said, I had a successful kid at Michigan State, but you know, most large universities have a 6-year graduation rate that is in the 50s. So we're not talking about a high rate of success generally. We're in the 80s in terms of our 6-year graduation rate because we are able to personalize the experience. And like I say, you got multiple faculty members and staff members who notice whether your kid went to class that week or not and make sure that they stay on track.
How many students are currently enrolled at the college?
500.
1,800,
1,800. Okay. And
1,800
just curious,
students.
is there a requirement that they live on campus or can they live off campus?
Yes, some can live off campus, but there is a residency requirement. And, you know, we're at the point where our housing is at capacity. The enrollment right now at Lake Forest College is at an all-time high. So we're going to probably be looking to allow more people to live off campus.
So you must be
So
looking.
that segs into another area. Go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, so that means that just from being a landlord, I know that the rents have gone up starting with COVID because you guys you weren't around, Mike, but they reduced the occupancy by 50%. And that increased rents in Lake Forest because the kids were looking for a place to go. Are you looking to build more dorms there? Is that what's going on?
I don't think so. I think we're at level set, is what I would say. I
Okay.
think we're about the right enrollment for us. I don't think we want to get bigger. So,
Okay.
Well, that was going to be my question was that campus is very historic. There's a lot of historic buildings there.
yeah.
It blends with that part of the city very well. The First Pres Church right across the street and everything. And people have always wondered what is the future of that property because we saw Barrett College unfortunately close a few years ago. We've seen in other communities like Niles College and Mundelein College some of those either close or get bought out by bigger universities. What is the future of what can people who live in the city, particularly in that area, what's the future of that property?
And when you say the property, you just mean our sort of contiguous campus, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yep. I mean, the future of that property is for the next 100, 200 years to continue to be Lake Forest College. You know, it's interesting because people will notice that small campuses are closing in various places. There is some consolidation happening in higher education, but those tend to be institutions that have very limited regional appeal and very small financial resources to draw on. So, you'll see colleges like that with a very small endowment, under $50 million, for example. And also, they're not drawing students and interest from across the country the way we are. We are part of what we would call a national liberal arts college community, which means that, we have brand and name recognition in all lower 48 states. And so we have students from almost everywhere, as well as internationally. One of the things that I'm really find intriguing and kind of fun about Lake Forest College is that out of the 1,800 students that we have on campus, 400 are international students. So that creates a really interesting learning environment for everybody.
Yeah, our bouncers have to learn how IDs look from Ecuador and everywhere else. So it's kind of it's we've learned that the hard way too.
That's a downstream effect I had not anticipated.
Yeah, 100%. No,
Mike,
do Lake Forest students I've always wondered this, and I probably could find out, but and I know they hit the end of the season. Do they have access to like Lake Forest Beach and stuff? Do you know?
I think they do.
Do
Yeah.
they? Because I mean, they're not technically, your license and residence, but can they show their ID? I think that's their student ID to get down and whatnot.
I don't know that. That's a really good question.
you can show like a lease. If you show the lease, you're on the lease. You get the 2 passes.
No, that's
to go.
with the city. I mean, and these college students aren't driving over to City Hall to get a beach pass. They're not getting stickers. Most of them don't even have cars. It is like,
Well, they get 1 pass and they share it with everybody, dude.
well, can they walk down and show Lake Forest College ID and be allowed down to the beach? I mean, I think that's that's kind of a cool point. You're less than a mile away from the beach. You think these kids should be able to go down there
For 260 grand, throw it in, Mike. Come on, dude.
well, it's not right. I mean, I think Mike's got to make some calls here and make sure that these kids have
Well,
access to that beach.
Mike, isn't
call the mayor.
the mayor
Yeah.
isn't the mayor of the mayor tack on the mayor of Lake Forest is an ex officio member of the board there, I believe. There's some
That is
relationship there.
That's a brand new development. So, yes, that's my understanding.
So
I will
you
say
guys
this.
can talk about that at the next meeting.
I'm going to hit him up for that. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, man, help us out. We're on the board.
I
Well,
don't see why
10
they
years
would.
ago,
It doesn't-
I don't know if it's true anymore, but like 10 years ago, the health and fitness center, anyone in the community could go buy a membership there. And it was, everyone was going over. I mean, it's a beautiful facility too. So it kind of works
Yeah.
both ways, I guess. I don't know if that's still the case anymore, but a while ago, a lot of people would go over there to work out because it's a great facility.
Part of new student orientation, I know this, was to take the whole incoming group of students down to the beach. So one of two things is happening. Either they have access through with their student IDs, or we have a whole lot of misdemeanors coming. I have no idea which one it is.
Couple loitering charges.
They don't do a real good job checking there. My question for you, again, I pointed a lot of fingers and I'm just trying to come up with some solutions here to figure this thing out. If you can proficiency out of a class in high school, prove that you have the knowledge and move on to the next level, can you do that in college as well?
Yeah, in many disciplines you can. You can demonstrate that you already have the knowledge and they just place you into the level that works for you.
Because kind of what I think is the way things are evolving with AI and decentralized knowledge, I would think that your brand would offer be a strong proctor or validation that somebody has the education or humanities. Okay, whatever the test is, you come up with the test. Somebody comes in, no phones, no nothing. You come in and you take the test, and you stamp it, and that costs, I don't know, 50 grand to do that. Do you think that could be something in the future? I know you're going to throw the social aspect of it, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I got to hire somebody and I need to know that they know this information because if you want to be a doctor, you got to take a test. You want to be an accountant, you got to take a test, a lawyer. So, do you think that could be something in the future that could help out on administration costs?
I think it's going to be a huge, I think both in teaching and learning costs and also possibly administrative costs as well. Who knows? I mean, I think we have to be open to it, right? We've got to be entrepreneurial and open to what technology can do for us. Now, let me just add one thing here. Just the same way. No, actually, let me back up and say I hear exactly where you're coming from, and I agree with you that AI is going to deliver an extremely powerful independent learning capability to students, to individual people, right? I totally agree with that. However, I just the same way I wouldn't take my car to a mechanic who only learned online how to repair my car. I wouldn't want my student to have learned everything without the guidance of an expert teacher. I think there's one of the things that teaching does for you is it shows you among the many multiple pathways you could go, which ways are the most efficient, which ways are the most interesting, which ones are the most reliable. We all have seen this happen, right? There are pathways you can go down that take you to less reliable knowledge or down pathways where people have gone before and found dead ends. And you can waste an awful lot of time doing that. If you have an expert guide, that's your professor, that's your teacher, you're going to more reliably get to your goal. That's my point.
So you're saying that
Mike,
taking a
one of the
test, wait, hold on, Joe. So you're saying, Mike, you're saying that even though somebody professes the knowledge by taking a test, the proficiency out of it, you still say we need to have the same administration giving the education? Or I didn't hear that
Yeah,
right.
yeah, no, I'm not. I think both things can coexist, honestly. I think both, like if you really can demonstrate you have the knowledge, then pass the bar, take it and pass it,
I was gonna say you could take the bar without a college degree.
Yeah, yeah, and
And
people do it.
Mike's in the
Yeah.
business of education, Pete. I mean, it's just like me. Like,
But
don't try
hold
to
on, what is it?
at
Hold on,
home and burn down
Jeff.
your
What is
house.
education? But see, here's the problem that we have right now. The costs are going up; they're not going down. The
Right.
metrics aren't going up; they're going down. When I say metrics, meaning the amount that money you put in the education when you get out, when you come out, something needs to be done on the
Supply
inflow.
demand. It's the
No, it's
old story.
expectations because these kids need to
Uh,
figure out what the lifestyle is that they want. Because if you want to do, pardon anybody that took this, if you want to take Irish studies, you got to know when you get done with your degree, here are your options. And you're looking at Jeff Urso, there's your option.
well, but that's what I'm saying. It's supply and demand. It's on the student, not the education facility, right? They're providing a service. You're paying me. I'm going to provide you a service. That's easy business 101. So you can't put that on that. Now, if a student takes a major in something that he or she can't get a job in one day or is a low paying job, that's on them because it's supply demand. So is there a high demand for my bachelor degree when I come out of college? And what is the current supply of that? So again, when you guys were all younger, again, I'm going to age myself. I'm a little younger than you guys, but when you guys were younger, there was less people with degrees than there are today. Now, the market is saturated with degrees, which is good. I mean, everyone should get more education, so that part's not bad. But the supply is much higher, right? So now some companies are changing their standards. Before they were looking for a bachelor's degree. Now they're looking for a bachelor's degree or experience, right? So there's multiple different avenues on all of this. But again, it goes on the person picking the right major to make sure that they have a career path, not on the facility supplying whatever they want to buy.
Okay, let me jump in here. And by the way, next time we do this, can we please do it at Duffers with a beer? Because I
Yeah,
really
Yeah.
feel like where I'm about to go requires a beer. But
yeah, yeah.
listen, I don't want to dispute any of what you're saying, Jeff. But I will say this from experience. I've been working in this industry for a long time, and what you major in is not always, in fact, rarely, believe it or not, a linear pathway to a specific job. It's just not always like that. And so When I talk to alumni, one of my favorite things to do is say, okay, you graduated 20 years ago. What did you major in? And what are you doing now? And they always have the best stories because they can say, I did Irish studies with a minor in, I don't know, communication. Let's take that one, right? Since you got a couple of communications majors. Um, and what am I doing? Well, I sell insurance, or I work in public relations, or I went into financial analysis for a bank, right? I mean, they do all kinds of things. And the point of it is that your 4-year undergraduate degree, much more than just a sort of a career preparation pathway alone, it's also a broad training in how to be, I don't know, a smart individual who can think critically and solve problems using multiple toolkits. That's really that's really the value add that I think everybody should come away with, and I think most do. And yes, there are some cases where you're going to major in computer science because you want to be in that industry, and that does provide a linear pathway for you. But for so many, let me tell you, it doesn't, and it's okay because they still got a lot of value out of that experience.
That's a great point.
Mike, I want to change gears a little. Something that's been in the news the past week or so, unfortunately, was the tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk on a college campus in Utah. And so I'm just curious. There's been a lot of talk about, freedom of academic thought and groups like Turning Point USA being able to be on campuses. And my understanding is they've now got their membership has quadrupled since he was killed. Is there a Turning Point USA chapter at Lake Forest College?
If so, I'm not aware of it. I don't think so.
Well, here, let me
Um,
follow up, Joe. That's because that's a good start. Mike, you can decline if you want, but you got a parent that's, let's say, conservative. They're both conservatives. You send your kid away to a private school and they become indoctrinated or whatever. What is happening on these campuses, or why is that perception out there that, hey, I'm going to send my kids out there. The teachers are X% on this side of the political aisle. Why would I want to give $250,000 to have that happen to my kid versus just having them get a job and go to community college or something like that? What's your take? What the heck is going on?
yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting question, right? And I think a lot of it really doesn't have so much to do just with college per se. It has to do with young adults becoming young adults, right? I mean, I remember this well. I grew up in a very Roman Catholic family, and I went to a Roman Catholic university and in Washington, D.C. And I think my parents were expecting that I would learn some different things and my perspectives would widen. But during those 4 years, I met people from all over the place. And I met LGBTQ people for the very first time, I think, in my life that I knew, right? And one of them ended up being a roommate in my sophomore year. So I got to know that person and understand him as a human being and understand what his life experiences have been like. And I'll tell you what, that broadened my horizons. It made me a different person who thinks differently and more broadly about things. And so I think there's an organic way in which just young adults, regardless of what they're doing, whether it's in college or elsewhere, are growing and changing, and their perspectives broaden from the ones they were brought up to have. Now, having said that, colleges and universities are designed to be places about ideas, right? And we're really big on free expression and allowing people to bring their viewpoint regardless of what it is. And sometimes, I think in recent years, you have seen people with more conservative viewpoints get a much less friendly greeting on college campuses. And I think that's a shame. I think when we are doing our jobs well in higher education, then we have a public square that is open to everyone who, let me say this, everyone who is of good faith and not only there to just attack other people. Because we've seen that too. We've seen a lot of very aggressive rhetoric from people who, under the auspices of free speech, use that as a cover to kind of attack or drive an agenda. I'm not talking about that. What I'm talking about is people of good faith with real differences of opinion being able to have respectful dialogue. That's what a college should look like. And that's what I'm going to be striving for at Lake Forest.
Mike, do you watch the social, or do you have people watch the social media posts out there? Because after Kirk was knocked off, you had people cheering on that and people getting fired. It's cancel culture, the other way. I'm
Yeah.
not for either one. I'm just not for evil. Is there a policy at the school for that we don't celebrate anybody getting killed?
I don't think that the policy is as narrow as that. What we have social media policies about speaking on behalf of the institution, right? Because we believe that the people who work for us, they have free rights to expression as well. And they should be able to, as individuals, voice those, whether that be on social media or elsewhere. But when they appear to be speaking on behalf of Lake Forest College, that's when we have an issue because Lake Forest College itself as an institution should not be taking positions like that.
Would Charlie Kirk and his group have been welcome on Lake Forest College if, say, Charlie grew up around here, not too far from here. Um, uh, he worked for Congressman Dold for a while. But would if his seeing now his approach where he had those forums and stuff and allowed people to talk with him, would if he had said, "I want to come to Lake Forest College," would he have been welcome?
I don't know. I think that's a discussion that we would want to have because like I just said a few minutes ago, I think there are good faith actors, and I think there are actors that are not necessarily bringing the best of intentions for true debate and dialogue. One of the things that I have seen, unfortunately, I've been spending a lot of time, like a lot of people have, seeing a lot of recordings of Charlie Kirk's interactions with people. And sometimes they were of good faith and it was a serious debate. Other times it seemed like an opportunity to just skewer people. And I would want to have some understanding that if a person like Kirk were going to come to our campus, that they would be willing to engage in truly respectful dialogue. It could be vigorous disagreement, but it would have to be respectful dialogue. Unfortunately, a lot of what I've seen does not fit that.
Would Another concern that's come up the last couple of years, I think ever since the October 7th, 2023 attack on Israel, is a lot of Jewish students have felt uncomfortable at schools that I never would have thought would, like Harvard and Columbia. And we saw those types of scenarios. How does that fit in? Because North Shore does have a very large Jewish population.
Sure. That's right. Well, listen, I mean, any college or university, whether it's Lake Forest College, Columbia, Berkeley, or the University of Illinois, has an obligation to make sure that the students on their campus are respected and feel safe and can go to their activities and their classes in a way that fully empowers them to take advantage of that education. Period. Full stop. And so anti-Semitism in any form is abhorrent, and we will not tolerate it on our campus. And we will also not tolerate other forms of bigotry toward other groups. That's not who we are. And we have a responsibility as an institution to remain vigilant about all of those things so that the access to a transformative education is a real thing and not just something we talk about.
Heads up, everybody. This Sunday, this show is going to come out Saturday, Mike. Sunday, 7 p.m. over at Market Square, Pastor James Buckman will lead a Charlie Kirk vigil memorial. And I'm glad to see that. I'm also sad to see that Pastor Buckman was the only religious person that was willing to lead that thing because they were afraid of the political ramifications. And these are religious people. But for everybody out there, Sunday, 7 p.m., Market Square, Pastor James Buckman will lead a Charlie Kirk
That's
memorial.
the Lutheran. He's from the Lutheran Church, right on Deer Path Road by the
Faith
by 41.
Lutheran Church, 680 West Deer Path. so we'll be doing it. But it's a shame at these times. We're talking humanities here. We're talking religion, and something has gotten lost in the way, Mike. When we went to school, and now we're running out of time. This could be a whole nother show, and I hate pointing the finger without coming up with solutions. But what the hell do you think has happened in the last 20, 30 years that all this crap is going on? Is it the iPhone and the internet?
Boy, if I had a solution to that, let me tell you, and I spend a lot of time pondering the same thing. Here's a thought. I don't think this is going to take us to any kind of great enlightenment, but I will say this. I spent a lot of time in my career studying German language, culture, and history. And sometimes taking a historical perspective gives me a little bit of, I don't know if comfort is the right word, but just it gives me perspective. Let me say that. Right. So I think about Germany in the 1930s, and we're not Germany in the 1930s. Don't hear me making a false equivalence. But what I will say is this, I think a lot about Germany in the 1930s and actually the 1920s and the 30s, because that was a time of great political polarization, and not just, right versus left. In Germany in the 1920s, there were 12 different permutations of the left and 8 different permutations of the right. And it was a very splintered political landscape that was trying to navigate its way through a world economic crisis and deep humiliation after the First World War ended with the Treaty of Versailles, and just an awful, like I'm not trying to generate sympathy for Germany in 1920s. I'm just saying this is what people were living through. And it gave rise to an even uglier period that only ended in 1945. And Europe was able to begin some reconstruction and some healing, but it took a really long time. My point being, we've seen movies like this before historically, and the pendulum does swing back and forth. And what I'm hoping and praying for right now is that the pendulum doesn't swing so far that we see more political violence and more division. I'm hoping that that moment of healing and the pendulum turning the other way will come sooner rather than later. But knowing that in the great historical sweep of things, we'll come back. We'll come back to center. We'll come back to level set. But I do think we can affect that. The way we talk to each other, the way we encourage others to be with each other in community, we have an ability to try to move that needle. And that's what I see as the purpose of Lake Forest College in some respects. And all of us who have a microphone, right? I mean, we have an opportunity here to promote healing, and we should do that.
Well, you talk about the history there. I mean, look at the 60s. Virtually every college campus, I don't know the history with Lake Forest
Right.
College back then, but the Vietnam War, some of those protests were peaceful, but some of them, got way out of hand. Kent State is obviously the one that comes to mind the most. But by the time you and I were in college in the 80s, it was pretty much, hey, we're just going about our lives in the 80s. There wasn't a lot of protesting on campuses back then.
That's exactly right. So, and that's, I like your example because it's even more recent than mine. I can't help it. I'm a German scholar, so I just go to the German example right away. But, I think we could probably come up with a dozen more, right? I mean, the 1950s and early 60s at the height of the civil rights movement, there was a lot of violence, right? Political assassinations for a while became not commonplace, but we were less inured to them than we are now. And so I feel like we could point to a lot of historical examples where, we've been able to right the ship. We've been able to get ourselves back to a better place of civility, and relative peace. And I trust that we will be able to do that.
Well, one thing I saw, who's it, Pat? What's the guy for football? He's got his own
Coach
show.
Cat, Canton Zero?
Pat McAfee.
McAfee.
Oh,
He said it best, right? McAfee was like, hey, we have everyone from different cultures, sides, political views, left, right, everything. We're all here to pack a stadium and watch Tennessee kick Georgia's butt, right? So
Yeah.
I think these discussions and debates are, of course, appropriate, and the world needs to talk about it. But sometimes, you got to turn it off. Whether whatever your thing is, whether it's a local sports bar, whether it's playing tennis against your friends, and turn it off and let's all just be Americans and let's all, find a way to pray the Bears win a game, like something like that. And
In the
that's something we
Foresters,
all
we
have
want to
in
root for the
common.
Foresters, right?
Right. Or so
Right.
that's
And the
that's my
Scouts.
perspective is like, yeah, these discussions need to happen, of course, but at the same time, they can't consume you as a person, and everyone needs to come together, especially we're a community, and everyone come out and just treat each other kindly and with respect. That's it. So
Agreed.
Mike,
Okay,
did you know that the Bears used to practice at Lake Forest College?
Boy, did I ever. And one of the things I couldn't wait for was to get into Hallis Hall. And I'm walking around and then I'm just thinking, where was Ditka's office? I gotta get to Ditka's office.
Maybe they should go back there. They played better when they practiced there than out by the tollway.
back then the office was on downtown Chicago. Hey, Mike, last question. Last college president I interviewed was Morty Shapiro and his partner Saul Monson. They wrote a book. I'm trying to Sense and Sensibility was it? And I asked them the question: could they come up with one scenario where the country could all come together? And after hemming and hawing for 2 to 3 minutes, so this was probably 4 or 5 years ago, I asked the question. They couldn't come up with anything.
Any event that could bring us together? What do you think?
Well, that's a really interesting question. It would have to be the sort of event where people felt that it was more important to work with each other than to use the crisis as a way to beat up on each other. That would be what it have to be. And you could tell, and we've had many of those in our history, Pearl Harbor obviously being one. But, I find it, I don't think it's impossible, but I find it hard to imagine, what it would be now. It wasn't, a pandemic, which would kill, pandemic
Right.
kill Republicans and Democrats alike, right? This crisis, in Afghanistan, okay, so now you get everybody criticizing the president, but they most want to criticize each other, right?
Yeah.
And what would it be? I don't know. If there were if we had a major depression, well, you could play the blame game on that. What couldn't you? And there probably is something, and I'm hoping there's going to be, but I can't imagine it.
Can you come up with something? Because the only thing, the examples that I brought up were, unfortunately, about 3,000 lives were lost in each case. You had 9/11, everybody came together, right? You had Pearl Harbor, okay, 3,000 lives or so, everybody came together. Man on the Moon. Okay, what do you think could happen where we can get past all this stuff and kumbaya out?
Well, look, this is coming right up in 2026. We're going to have a pretty important anniversary of the founding of this country. And one of the things that makes higher education in America so fantastic is that, and I think particularly about the liberal arts style of education, is it's a thoroughly American style of education, believe it or not. The liberal and liberal arts is not about politics. It just means openness to a variety of different areas of study so that students get lots of different things, right? And I think that we are in a place with this big anniversary coming up where we can all reflect on what makes this country great. What makes the experiment that started 250 years ago so special, and what our role is in it, in continuing to make it a wonderful place for people to thrive, right? I don't know that there is a better place on earth where human flourishing is more possible than it is in a place like this. And to me, higher education is a huge part of enabling that to continue to be the case. And but whatever you do, whether it's the guy who works on my car that I talked about earlier, or whether we are serving people in hospitality settings, or whether we are pastors calling communities together, or podcast hosts, or college presidents. We all have a role, right? In making this community a strong one. And it's a unique community. And I think next year we're going to have an opportunity. We just have to take it, right? We all have to take it. We have to accept it and realize it. And like Jeff was saying, this is something where we all share something in common. And we got to dwell in that place and not in the place of, what makes me angry at this other person who has this different argument, right? And I think that's coming up. So historical rituals and memories and anniversaries, they give us that opportunity, and let's take it. That's what I want to see.
That's well said. Yeah, that's great.
Dr. Mike Sosulski, president of Lake Forest College. We're going to do a tailgate together soon, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's pack the stadiums. Yeah, let's get them out, everybody.
Come on over. We got a game this Saturday at 1:00. Come on over and we'll watch football together.
All right, Mike. I'll
Go
be right
Foresters.
Go
Thanks.
Foresters.
Mike, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. I hope we get
Dr.
together
Mike.
in real time. Let's get together in real time sometime.
Absolutely.
Amen.
Let's have that
numbers.
beer. Yeah.
All righty.
Do it.
Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
The Lake Forest Podcast is supported by viewers, listeners, and businesses just like you. Michelle Parno has lived and worked in Lake Forest for over 2 decades. Michelle's lending experience, when combined with her real estate expertise, makes her an invaluable asset to her clients as they navigate their home buying or selling process. Call Michelle now at 847-528-8721, 847-528-8721. For the best cannabis in the world, look no further than Iliad Epic Grow. Owned by Lake Bluff's own Rich Ruzich, they are a cannabis cultivation center focusing on hard-to-find small batch products that will delight both the occasional user and ganjier. When visiting Michigan, ask for it by name. Epic Products, exceptional process. For more information, email info@iliadgrow.com. Laracy & Company CPAs, founded in 2010 by Lake Forest's own Brian Laracy, specializes in tax preparation and bookkeeping services. Earning the People Love Us on Yelp award, their process is straightforward. Just upload, review, and file. For a free quote, visit laracycpa.com now. That's LARISEYCPA.com. I'm excited to share with you something special from our Lake Forest community, the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa, located at 775 North Bank Lane in Lake Forest near Wisconsin Avenue. This just isn't any spa. They offer an amazing blend of traditional spa services plus the added benefit of medical procedures and treatments. In a relaxing and luxurious spa environment, you can enjoy a range of cosmetic and aesthetic treatments. These are all performed under the supervision of top medical professionals. The Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa provides skin care, facial rejuvenation, body contouring, laser hair removal, Botox, dermal fillers, chemical peels, and much more. What's great is that each treatment is tailored not just to enhance your appearance, but also to address specific skin concerns and to promote overall well-being. So if you're looking to pamper yourself and take your beauty routine to the next level, give the Aesthetic Lounge Med Spa a call at 224-768-8028 or visit them at their location on North Bank Lane. It's an experience your skin will thank you for. We'd also like to say we're thankful for our Patreon supporters, Otto, John C., Helen, Herrick, JM, and Paul G.